So I'm going to show you an AI augmented workflow creation in action. This demo typically would take 15 to 20 minutes just to demo some of those features. We wanted to be able to for you to see all of them. So we pre-recorded to eliminate some of the processing time to speed it up much faster. If you want to see it in full motion, please reach out and we would love to go through it in more detail with you. This is the Automic Automation version 26 MCP server demo. What we're looking at on the right-hand side of the screen here is the Intelligent Assistant. This is something that was available in version 24.4, but only in a smaller capacity compared to what it is available now. Currently, what it can do is it's connected to the MCP server, which gives it availability to look at and retrieve things from your system, understand what is going on. It can run and look at reports for you. So we can actually even go into a job. Let's go here and we can have it analyze the last execution. And what it's going to do is take a look at the last job run and let me know, hey, here's what's going on with that. Here's what's going on, where maybe there was an issue, if there was an issue, if there wasn't an issue, or all those variables. And what this is going to let me do is I can even ask questions on this. So was there any issues with this run? And then what it will be able to let me know is the information that I have requested, because what this is doing is removing the need for me to have to go search through logs, search through the report, understand truly what's going on behind the scenes. But this is giving me the information I need right in front of my face. It's really putting me into it, knowing what's going on, what's happening. Here's the real valuable information that you need. So that's a little look at the Intelligent Assistant. We also can start a new chat and switch it from an Automation Assistant to the Documentation Assistant. This is just going to let you look at documentation, give you more answers. What I can ask here would be something like, explain a job to me. What this is going to do is read the information from the documentation, parse that, and then explain what a job is to me. What I can do then is continue asking it questions and digesting and understanding truly what's going on behind the scenes in Automic. That's kind of everything with the Intelligent Assistant as of now. We're going to come back to this later in the demo when we do some workflow generation, because this is where you do that from. Let's head back over to the Process Assembly tab here, go under AI, and we're going to start looking at what does the MCP server bring outside of the Intelligent Assistant. We're going to go under Admin and get into this connection object. So just how most other jobs and workflows and integrations work, we're going to have a connection object. Now, this is our connection object for the MCP server. As you can see, we have the AI of choice that we are using currently, which is that Vertex AI Gemini. This is going to give us the ability to do that workflow generation, which is what we're going to be seeing a little bit later. The tools section here is a global tools restriction. So I can actually remove all of these if I would like, and then every job that's using this connection object would no longer have the tools and the rules to be able to submit those requests that it was going to submit. I'm currently going to leave it on everything since this is the global, so that we can show you later on what's going on behind the scenes. So how does this get used in an actual AI job? Let's head on over and check that out. We're going to go over to this analyze error first. So what I've done is set up a few workflows with a few AI jobs in them. The first one we're going to look at is, as I mentioned, analyze error. This is a little sneak peek. This is the AI job, but I wanted to come back to that connection object. Here's where you place that in under the AI job, right under the AI section. That connection object is being used, the one we were just looking at. And then here, what we can do is actually restrict down as well, again, on a local level, all the rules and abilities that give this job what it needs to run. That being said, let's head on back over to the AI prompt that I gave you a sneak peek at earlier. What we can see here is a Windows job in the user prompt. We're passing in that job name. Just as you're seeing here, we have the Automic variables. They're accessible just like how any other job is. It truly is a full integration with AI. These AI jobs are exactly how any other job will work. You can use variables. You can have a prompt set on them. You can use them how you've used every other job. They're fully integrated. We can pass the variables and the values inside those variables into the prompt itself, making us able to generate actual responsive report with good information. What this user prompt is telling the AI to do currently is given a job name and a run ID in the client that we're in. Please provide an overview synopsis on how and why the job failed based off of the report. So that's what the user prompt is. It's going to be, what do you want? And then the system prompt is going to be the rules and regulations that you want it to abide by. Similarly, you can also give it some extra context, like this is what you should be thinking of. And then here's the rules that I mentioned before. Okay, let's go ahead and head back here. And what I'm going to do is actually go into the job P here. And this job P has the Windows job I was discussing earlier that is passed into, this is the AI job that we were just talking about a second ago and looking at. So what I'm going to do is execute this workflow. And what we're going to see when we open this monitor is the job failed. Now, I will be honest with you, it did intentionally fail. We have set it up to fail. But this is to better show off for the demo, right? What we're going to be able to see in here is if I do a few refreshes here, we're going to see that has successfully submitted. Now, if I wanted to see what the report was going to say beforehand, I can come down here and actually look at the result that it popped out a second ago. I can actually even, if I go back to the source object, I'll show you here, we do have the availability to look at and pass the variable of the AI response forward as well. Just how every other job works and every other workflow works, we can pass variables between them. We can store the result of the AI response in a variable and then use it elsewhere. In this case, we're using it in a notification object and putting it out like that. We also have this other availability here. So an AI conversation ID. What this means is if, let's say this notification object was another AI job, we can actually assign the AI conversation from this job and pass it into this job so that this second job has the starting context from the first job. And what it will do is give it the availability to see everything that was discussed and thought about in this job here. This way you can pass context between jobs easier if you would like. You don't have to pass the variable and then read it in on the prompt. This just gives you a really simple way and easy way to do it. You don't have to though. You can have each job be a separate conversation. All right, let's go ahead and take a look. We got a synopsis of the run ID and the Windows job that we were looking at, which is named jobs when error. It is reviewing the report and then telling us this is what is wrong. So it looks like the command that was written in the process area of this command was written in wrong, and then we got a corrective action. So what you should do and the steps that you should take to correct that and to please modify that job script to use the correct command. So that's just a little look at what that AI job can do for you here. Let's look at another use case and example of how you can use AI jobs. And in fact, what we will do is use it to analyze what we were looking at just a second ago. So what I have done is made this object impact analysis workflow, and it has two jobs in it. It has an AI job and a notify dev job. Now, I will be honest with you, this doesn't look the most glamorous, but it's really about what's happening behind the scenes. So if we open up this AI job here, we can see that I have a very long and kind of complicated prompt going on here. What's going to happen is I'm going to pass in variables, specifically object name and the change type. Now, this is going to give me a few different options to tell the AI what I would like to do with the job. And then it will let me know what the remediations or what kind of different options based off of what I pick. It's going to tell me all the information related to that. So that's where we have the system prompt saying that you're impact analysis assistant, and then all the available tools that it should run and call. Another reference back to the connection object earlier, here is a prime example of restricting the AI to only use the tools that it needs. So these are the 4 tools that are available to it, and it will only run those when I run this job. So what we're going to do is head back a second here. We're going to execute this, and then I'm going to open up another tab here. We're going to go down and grab a job name. We're actually going to look at this workflow right here. We're going to copy the name and then put that in the object name section here. So this is a prompt set on the workflow. Then what we do is we have a few different options here of what we would like to do to this job. So let's say that this job is causing some issues in prod. I don't want to go through and have to contact 6 different people to understand if I can actually edit something on this job before knowing what to change. I just want to know, where is it being used? How does it interact with the system? And if I wanted to modify it, what would be the remediation steps to make sure that I don't mess up something in production? So what we're going to do is modify the job. And then we do have this option for the notification email. We're going to actually hold off on that one for now and submit. Now what we'll do is head back, go to last monitor, and check when that AI job finishes. Then we'll be ready to go with that. here is that job. And let's go ahead and open up that report. This is where we will get that object analysis. So we can see that we passed in modify and the job name and then what client it's looking at. What we can see is the executive summary. So it is referred to as at least one critical scheduling object. It looks like it is a scheduled job. Any modification carries a high risk of impact that the scheduled execution of this schedule object, but there is no specific version history or detailed description available for the object. So it will also look into the version history if you have version management on your object descriptions, if you are filling out those descriptions on your objects themselves in that the documentation section. It can also look in there. Risk management. So as we saw it was a high risk of change. And then we also look at recommended change plans. So if we're going to change it, here's what it would recommend and how to roll back, post-change validation, safe implementation approach, dependency overview. So what this is doing is getting rid of me having to contact, as I mentioned, all those other people to understand how is this job going to affect. It breaks down the barriers of me needing to know everything, and it puts it all right into one report that I can read and know that we can't actually modify this job, or we should definitely not modify this job because, as it was saying, it's going to potentially mess up our scheduling object here. This is where we would probably end up bringing another person in. Hey, let's talk about this. Let's figure out the next steps. This is what the AI is recommending. But other jobs, if it's not actually being used anywhere, there's no execution history, then yeah, it's going to let you know, hey, you can actually edit and change that job, no issues. Now, for the final, but definitely certainly not least important of them all, is to show you the workflow generation. So let me go over to new chat here. We're going to make sure we're on Automation Assistant. And then what we can ask it is to make a workflow for us that has 4 jobs in it. Okay, and as you can see, we have written out our prompt saying, please make a workflow with this name. And then we have jobs that we would like to make. The asterisk should be replaced with the number of the job is, and then place all those jobs in serial order in the workflow. Okay, perfect. And as you can see, we did leave out where we would like the AI to make these jobs and workflows. So what we're going to do is now it's asking us where it would like us to make those. And it's also double checking and confirming with us what it's naming those jobs is going to be correct. Although that is a little different, I'm okay with what it's saying here. And it does fit within our naming conventions. So we're going to go ahead with that and say, all right. And as you can see, we now have those names are good based off of what it has provided us. And then what we will do is place them under the /AI folder, which is where we are currently under. So just a little example here, this Automic directory is your root directory. So if you say root, it will know that. If you do just /AI, it will understand that the first folder that's named AI under root is where you're trying to place that. So now that we have seen that the AI has told us that it has made the workflow and the jobs, look over on our left side here, we're going to notice there isn't any jobs yet. But do not fret, because as you know, you may be familiar working in Automic. If someone is also working in the same directory as you, you're going to have to refresh your page to see that. So what you can do is either refresh your browser, as I mentioned, or you can even click on the root directory. It will also refresh that. Then we'll go to AI, and there, as we can see see all the jobs that it has made, and there are all of our jobs. So currently, that's what it looks like and how everything runs and works. It has made correct and valid jobs for us to look at, giving us placeholder values in here so that we can change them out with what we would like, edit them however we would like. And overall, it's kind of mitigating that process of not starting from a blank scenario, but giving you something to work off of and mold to whatever you would like. If there's any questions about the AI, or if you wanted to see a more in-depth review, please reach out to RMT. We would love to provide you with the information, show you what we've got going on in the AI space. We're very, very deep in it, and we would love to communicate with that with you.